very uncomfortable, extremely uncomfortable to watch her dad, to watch her president, to watch the president of South Sudan struggle like that. And of course, it was extremely uncomfortable for us, and it was comfortable, of course, for those who wanted to prove their point. But for the sake of humanity, let us put our political differences aside, and let us think for a moment. Let us think for a moment as humans, and put humanity first. I disagree with Kir Mayadit. I have been his critic for the last 10 years, and there's nothing more that I want just for him to step aside and give South Sudan to the people of South Sudan. But seeing him, watching him, listening to him, it was painful for me to the point that I have forgotten for a moment that this is the person I have criticized for so many years. I have forgotten for a moment that Kir Mayadit was this person that we were all criticizing, but I came to my own senses as a normal human being, and I sympathized with him. And I was so sad for him and for myself and for the people of South Sudan. And I was hurt. I was really hurt. Okay. And I realized as a human being that Salva Kiir, at this point, is being forced into presidency, because there's nobody in his condition will accept to force himself into that humiliation, into that situation, into that condition, and force himself to go all the way to African summit in that situation. There have to be something wrong somewhere. I was tearing up the whole time, watching. It was difficult. I had to turn off the TV. I had to turn off everything. I couldn't comprehend what was happening. It was so painful. Not because we're being mocked by the rest of the world, but was to come to realization of the situation that we are in as a nation. And I'm glad that Adut was there. I am really glad that Adut is there. And she witnessed all of that. So personally, first of all, before I go ahead, first, no, it's not because I'm a woman, but to be honest with you guys, I was so touched. I was so touched as a human being. Just to see Kir Mayadit going through all of that. And it made me to realize that is Kir Mayadit actually the one who want to die in presidency, or there are people behind him that are pushing him to be in this situation? Because I don't think anybody will accept to be in that situation, guys. I don't think there's anybody with a right mind. يا أخي حتى لو أنت شغال في الشركة, you will call in and say, يا جماعة, I don't feel well, I'm not coming. I don't know إنه في زول في الدنيا can put themselves in that situation for a moment. And of course, even though I am a critic, but I cannot forget that Kir Mayadit for once was an amazing president. I cannot forget for once that he gave his youth to this country. I cannot for once forget that he fought and he gave his life for this country. I cannot forget that, and I cannot erase that. And I cannot forget that for once, he was an amazing president. Okay. he could give a speech without no problem. I cannot erase that. All right? I cannot. That's part of his history. I cannot erase that. But I cannot also forget that he is in a situation right now that it's very critical, it's very painful, and we have to realize that we are for sure in trouble as a country, as a nation, and to watch that was extremely painful. Okay, and it just brought me to a position where I was asking, what is SPLM Bureau doing? Okay, what is SPLM Bureau doing? Why would SPLM Bureau allow Kirmayadi to go? Okay, in this particular situation, I was asking myself, what was his advisors doing? And how did they allow him to go in that condition? I was asking myself, what was his daughter and his family doing to allow him to go in that situation? If you guys were listening to Salva Kiir's voice, that was not his voice. His voice was weak, was tired, was deteriorating. Something was in that voice that was not there. This is a tired president, tired, sick, unable to speak. You can feel how exhausted his voice was. You can see how forceful it was for him to speak clearly. And I asked myself, how was he allowed to go? Was he really the one who forced himself to go? Or his circle did not see that? Where is SPLM in all of this? يا جماعة أنا اتأثرت to the point حنيت لكرميادي والله. أنا حنيت وانجرحت and يعني I don't know what to tell you guys. يعني أنا اتحولت from his critic to his sympathizer. والله العظيم. وبتأسف له من هنا. أنا بتأسف له من هنا. والله العظيم يا جماعة. يعني أنا بتأسف له من هنا. بنكر ما يدي أنا بتأسف لك من هنا. وأنا ما بتأسف لك عشان أنا يعني أنا بنكر اللي أنت خربت الدولة ده. كويس. لا. لكن أنا بتأسف to see you in this critical situation. And this is the situation that we used to criticize you for us not to reach this situation, but you are here now. This is the situation that majority of opposition, we talk day and night because we didn't want to reach this situation. But since we reached it, والله العظيم أنا بتأسف لك. والله العظيم. I am not one of those people that are mocking you, and I'm not one of those people that are not seeing what you are going through as a president. But أنا سؤالي لك إنه what is forcing you? Really, what is forcing you? Why don't you step away from it all? Why don't you just forget about it? What is forcing you? So I will leave it there. But as for Lina Pareg, I am completely different. I am not one of those people that are mocking him or excited to prove their point that Kirmayadi is in the rock bottom, that Kirmayadi failed, that the Kirmayadi is this, Kirmayadi is that. I am completely sorry. Sincerely. And I do apologize even. Okay. Because for so long, we've been criticizing, yes, We've been wanting to change the system. We've been wanting him to step aside. But listening to him, seeing him, brought me to a state of mind of asking myself, maybe he's not the one who want to walk away. Maybe there are people who don't want him to walk away. Okay. So it brought me to that point. So anyways, I will leave it here in English, and I will continue in Tongjang, because I do want people to hear this message that I'm going to repeat again. So we're going to Iben, we're going to come out, Lina Paring. Yeah, na je show to jog be English, ko de ka juja pai ka chaka nyangwe ka kan kalwe. Ko che wadino Junuba Sudan ben buyen ke bukaping. I think tribe juja pai did actually interested ko be ngich e nguchi ke mayadit ke cho woj ko nguchi ra woj jala kin mayadit ne ko yo kan the best way. Ko kira yakating taban kache kay shame. Okay. Kira taban yakating kay shame le Junuba Sudan. So I think kira ting kala balwel tong Arab wala tong English